Buongiorno, sensual souls. It's Rochelle Jackson here, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode on the Sensual Soul channel, where we explore how sensuality can take our lives from dull to finish. In today's episode, we're going to be exploring a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is self-love. Self-love is really fundamental to having a healthy relationship with sensuality, and to discuss this further, I've brought in my friend and life coach, Catherine Hummel, to join us. If you want to find out more, stay tuned. Catherine Hummel is a love coach, yoga teacher, Reiki practitioner, circle facilitator, and workshop leader. A former addict and master player of the compare and despair game, Catherine has experienced firsthand the metamorphosis from empty, bored, and riddled with shame to exploding with passion, appreciation, and love for her life and who she is. Her encouraging philosophy that every woman can achieve deep inner peace, unshakable confidence, and adoration for all of who she is, and attract a man that is right for her, has proven true in the epic soul partnerships manifested by dozens of her clients.
Hello.
Hi, Catherine.
I'm so happy for you starting this.
I
It's
know.
so exciting. And thank you for thinking of me. Are you drinking tea?
I am.
I am tea too.
Cool. So yeah, I when I first started of making this channel, I really thought it has to have a component of self-love, because for me that's just been so much of my transformation in embracing my sensuality, and of course I have you to partially thank for that. So I wanted to give you the opportunity, because of how much you helped me, to kind of share that with others, how those practices that we worked so much on, involving self-love, and of course relate them to how they are the foundation for being able to truly enjoy sensuality. Because I found, at least, that before I was incorporating these practices, that I didn't actually allow myself to have that perspective in whatever it was that I was doing, that loving perspective on many things. And when I was able to give that to myself, everything else just had, it was like putting on rose-colored glasses. So I think it affects so many parts of your life. It's really important.
What practices were the most helpful for you? Like, what are you referring
to? For me, just being able to honor what I'm feeling, and we did a lot of like past healing and inner child work and stuff, and I feel like the way that you modeled for me how to approach that inner child in such a loving way, rather than what I was used to was so much kind of just listening to whatever I was told, how I should feel. I shouldn't feel like that. I was being, a burden on other people, or I needed to provide this emotion to someone else, and I never was shown, hey, your feelings are important as well, and just as valid, and you should listen and honor those feelings. So that for me was huge with sensuality as well, because I always hid that part of me, and it wasn't until dance that I was actually able to embrace it. But it was on a different level when we did those practices.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Make sure I have.
Hopefully that answered your question. Okay, so let's get started. So just so people know a little bit about you, and obviously how you relate to people's situations. Can you tell a little bit about, what your struggles were before you became a coach, and how it affected your capacity to experience sensuality?
Yes, my past is filled with tremendous amounts of trauma. And I think a lot of women don't fully realize, I really didn't, the impact that that had on my capacity to embrace my feelings, to love my body, to allow myself to have pleasurable experiences. So when we're afraid, most human behavior goes into fight or flight. And for me, it was the freeze, right? The totally numbing out. So in order to heal my trauma and then awaken to sensuality, I had to first really get honest with where I was at around my behaviors, which looked like drinking every single day, hanging out with people who were really negative and disrespectful, and really hating myself. And that self-hatred turned into not giving myself permission to feel joy or pleasure. Like that was something that was not allowed at all when I hated myself. So that's what it was like for me before becoming a coach.
Right. And it's funny. It's like you're not even tapped into those wants or those feelings of desire for that pleasure at that point, right? So when you decided then to, change your life, what were some of the self-love practices that you started to implement, and how did they transform that relationship that you had with sensuality?
Well, the first step for anyone on a journey of transformation is really the recognition that they have to want it, right? So I hit the bottom, so to speak, of I don't want to hate myself anymore, right? Like this can't possibly be what's meant for me. And so it started incredibly slowly in the beginning. And for me, it was actually changing my thought patterns because I actually deeply believe that feelings follow thoughts. So I can't go into shifting my feelings if I have negative thoughts. So I first had to develop positive thoughts about myself and affirming myself and my self-worth and saying things like, you're allowed to feel whatever it is that you feel, and you deserve to feel joy. You were born worthy. And one of my now favorite ones is, just because someone else has not seen your magic doesn't mean it's not there. Because I think a lot of people in the healing journey just assume that, well, this person said I suck, so that must mean it's true,
Right.
rather than coming into I can choose to think for myself. So that was really the beginning. I made, affirmation posters in my room and surrounded myself with positive thoughts. And then the formula for self-love, on which is my foundation of all of my coaching, all of my programs, is self-care, self-acceptance, and self-expression. So in terms of the taking care of yourself, that is what had to happen for me first, right? I stopped drinking. I stopped eating sugar for a while. I really put myself in a container. And I know a lot of women think that self-care is doing the really extreme things, right? Oh, if I'm going to take care of myself, I do get my hair done. I just spend 5 hours at the spa.
Right.
And so I teach that it's really about being present to little things, because I've watched people get their nails done, but they're on the phone the whole time. So that's not self-care. Right. So I picked one night a week to stay home, where I actually learned how to be alone with myself. I started taking baths. I started, buying myself flowers and putting things in my room. I cleaned my room, right? I created a space that felt good. So that was the beginning of just basic, simple things. It doesn't have to be extreme and crazy. And so, of course, then slowly, when I started to take care of myself, I had more space in my head to actually make healthy decisions, right? Because so much fear is also impulsive, right? It's reactive. So when I was slowed down and connected to myself, I could say, oh, hanging out with that person doesn't feel good, or doing that thing doesn't feel good. And then I eventually found yoga, which was so important to my journey to self-love and loving my body and sensuality, and now I'm a yoga teacher. So that's how much it affected me.
Yeah.
But those are the things that really worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of people can go to yoga. I've experienced this lately, especially talking about yoga. And when you aren't in that space of listening to what you need, you can actually, it's the same experience of you can hurt yourself, even in something as therapeutic as yoga, if you're not listening to your body and you're not in that in that sensually, grounded space, you don't sense what your body needs, and even that seems like self-care cannot be.
And I think, and this was true for me when I started the journey too, we have to really let go of the, like, I'm going to heal overnight. Like when anyone begins the process, it's a celebration in and of itself to decide to heal, to decide to begin. And I've moved from 3-month coaching programs to 6-month coaching programs because it's learning how to slow down. And nothing in nature is fast. Nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And so we've moved away from our true nature as human beings who can move slowly and transform slowly to like the everything's instant with Facebook and cell phones and social media. It's like overload. So I think I briefly had the help of a lot of people to just be patient with my process. Like I'm 6 years into my journey right now. And so it's like I'm not who I was not where I'm at now at 1 year of the journey. And so it's like learning how to celebrate yourself, because that's a huge piece around self-love for me. Of like, I'm enough and what I'm doing is enough, and like these little things that I do every single day are going to have lasting and profound transformation. Because I've seen a lot of people, right, like one yoga class and I didn't feel great, so now I'm not going to do yoga. Or one weekend workshop where they're like, oh, my whole life has changed, but then 1 or 2 weeks later they're right back to doing the same behaviors, So and I'm sure you're sharing with people that it's daily practices and rituals that are small that are going to be the lasting change.
Absolutely. It is definitely putting all of those small things together and doing them consistently, and even when you don't feel like it, which is, I think, even more difficult. But which is also part of the transformation, is creating that discipline and creating that commitment, to yourself, to not just work for the light at the end of the tunnel, but, to enjoy the process and be able to be there for yourself through the struggles and through the times that you don't want to do those things. What would you say to those people that find that having self-care practices added to their schedule is overwhelming?
Well, I'll borrow this from Gabby Bernstein. When I ask her, I don't have time to meditate, she says, do you have time to feel like shit? And along those same lines, I want to first affirm what you said about commitment, because in the beginning of all of my programs, I actually have people sign a commitment sheet, and because it is definitely, we're not always going to feel like it, and as a relationship coach, I essentially affirm for people, what do you think a relationship is? Like, you're not always going to feel like being loving. You're going to have bad days, right? And so as you practice a commitment to yourself, you create the space to attract a man, or a woman, that wants to commit to you. So that's really the most important piece. And then how, when I teach self-care, it's not about some 5-hour time commitment. Being present for 5 minutes in the morning, or being present to whatever it is that you're doing at work, is an act of self-care. Right. Because it doesn't have to be that you don't have to go on vacation all the time in order to reconnect with yourself. Yeah. So my meditation practice was counting to 60. That really was where it started for me. Yeah. And so now, you find a rhythm with whatever works for you. Some people do have an hour in the morning, and some people have 10 minutes, but it also then becomes about what's most important to you. It is incredibly important to me to feel good every single day. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes in the morning to set myself up for having a really great day. And so I think that's the beginning of self-love. Saying, I'm going to make feeling good important to me. I'm going to make being connected to myself important to me. And so 5 minutes is just as valuable as 50 minutes. So letting people know that they can start wherever they are, and that's enough. If you go from 0 minutes to 5 minutes a day spending time with yourself, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think so too. Even that 5 minutes is still an example, or a demonstration that you are taking the time to do that for yourself. And no matter how long it is, it's just the fact that you did it that's already a step forward, I think. So a lot of people, of course, experience like enjoying their food or, listening to beautiful music, and maybe they don't even have self-love practices in their life. But how would you explain to them that self-love practices actually can enhance their experience of those pleasurable moments?
So I feel without self-love, pleasurable experiences then are taken for granted. They don't mean anything, right? Like it becomes a fleeting experience or a past memory rather than this epic, unbelievable, amazing, constant, experience. Because when you're in self-love, everything is miraculous. Like when you've connected to your sensuality, everything you feel is multiplied by, 10,000. And so being able to be present and being able to be in a state of gratitude and appreciation, and appreciation is a quality of love. Like, you're in a healthy relationship when you feel appreciated every single day. And so this self-love piece helps you to actually appreciate the experiences that you're having and being present for them. Because it's the same thing of like, oh, like I had a great meal, and then it becomes so what? Rather than the miracle of all the things that have to happen in order for that food to be made for you, and how amazing it is that our body can take it in, that we can taste it, So that's it. Like the self-love creates the appreciation for it, rather than, just moving through the world so quickly and all of these things that we take for granted. Because when I didn't love myself, I was still surrounded by amazing people. I was on my way to grad school. I had a family who loved me, and none of it mattered.
Yeah.
None of it mattered. So self-love creates the space to actually be in gratitude and appreciation for all the things that you have, and opens your heart that much more to care about the experience someone else is having too. So it opens the door for true connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I know a lot of the times self-love can also be interpreted as an excuse to be selfish, which we obviously know, those of us that have experienced it know that's not true. But can you talk about how other people benefit, or how even the world benefits by someone learning how to love themselves, and how is sensuality part of that self-love practice?
I'm so happy you're asking that question, because so many people think that, right? Self-love is selfish. And I want to first talk about the difference between a self-loving person and a conceited person.
Mm-hmm.
And what the show off, is what everyone's afraid of when they love themselves, right? The conceited person is someone that actually has to prove that they're lovable. So they're not self-loving and they're full of themselves because they're chasing your approval and your love. Whereas a self-loving person can just sit and be in their self-love and then actually love you, whoever's sitting in front of you, and love then flows back and forth easily and effortlessly. So how does self-love help heal the world? People who love themselves are not desperate for love. So therefore they are giving of themselves to the world from a place of fullness. We are self-loving people who know that know their purpose, they know their worth, they're connected to their passions. And so what what one person's passionate about is not what another person's passionate about, so then they can live what's true for them, and their purpose is helping heal the world. And so that's really it. When you love yourself, love is flowing effortlessly. You're filled up by all of the things around you, and then you're better able to give love. Because the truth is, not loving yourself is selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you don't love yourself, and this was my experience, everything still is actually all about you.
Yeah.
Right? You're wrapped up in your head of all of your negative thoughts. You're totally shut down. The only thing that matters is what you're feeling and you're going through. So you're not at all sharing love with the world when you hate yourself. So that's selfish because you're only thinking about you. Self-love is saying, I'm whole and complete and I'm enough and I have all of this love to share.
Absolutely. And how do you think that sensuality can be incorporated in those practices?
So when I think of sensuality, I think of the presence of the ability to feel and the ability to be in appreciation. And so the third core to self-love is self-expression. And that is about being able to fully express and feel all of your feelings. So the joy and the sadness and the grief and the rage. And that when I'm fully self-expressed, I can actually take in the things that are happening to me and I can actually receive. And this is the biggest thing for women. I mean, I was having sex, I was eating great food, I was an athlete in college, and I was totally disconnected from any of those experiences. So by doing self-care practices, by coming into self-expression and saying, I deserve to feel joy, you can actually learn to appreciate all of the things that are happening, and that's what's healing. And I was thinking as I was preparing to talk to you today that sensuality has healed my body. Like being present to my feelings and my experiences have been healing because that's what love is. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Do you particularly in your self-care practices do any? I know you said that like just for you the connection is already an example of sensuality because you're taking the time to connect with yourself and be present. But and I think a lot of people when they hear sensuality they think it has to do with sex, which is not necessarily the case. It's just being present, taking the time to experience the moment fully. So what are some things that you in particular do that portray that kind of sensuality?
Sensuality is just feeling.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just feeling. And so no matter what, and Andrew and I took walks in the 10 feet of snow that we had here this winter. No matter what, I am outside. Even if it's 2 minutes, I am outside at least once a day. So that's really important to me. No phone, like nothing with me. I listen to music constantly. I'm listening to music. I dance, and what has been also very helpful to me and is powerfully healing for women reconnecting with sensuality and their essence is any kind of creative outlet. And this is why self-expression is so important to me. So coloring, painting, watercolors, face paint, finger paint, like crayons, I mean anything. I've actually assigned clients to get coloring books to reconnect with their creative expression. Because that's sensuality. Any kind of freedom in the way that we feel. Yeah. And most people are numb. Like that's just the truth today. They're numb and they're eating crap and they're sitting in front of computer screens, and they're not even present to their body. And actually I was talking to someone yesterday who said, when animals get sick, right, you immediately know that the animal is sick because they won't eat, they won't drink, they immediately retreat and hide, right, and slow down. What do we do when we get sick, right? Pop 500 pills in our mouth, like run, keep going, showing up to work and pushing through and fighting. And we were talking about how now what the body ends up doing is like just putting a Band-Aid over that. So of course we're now having autoimmune diseases and getting sick, right? And women are having more and more infertility and reproductive health problems than we've ever had before, because everybody is just starting to shut down. So another thing that's been very important to me actually over the past 9 months is the use of essential oils. And that has been powerfully healing for me and many of my clients because it's your sense, right? You're smelling something, you're putting something on your body. And so that's amazing for me too. And I'm so grateful to now be aligned with that and sharing that with people.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today and to share all of your experiences and your knowledge.
It's been so fun. Thank you for thinking.
Yeah, of course. And is there a place that people can contact you if they're interested in knowing more and working with you further?
Yes, my website would be the best spot. There's a link right on the homepage to schedule a call with me. And that's www.catherine-hummel, hummel.com. And I will highlight, for people that are wanting to come into self-love, I have a 21 Days to Lasting Self-Love program. You have lifetime access to that, and the whole program is built on making self-love simple and last forever. So that's definitely something to check out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you.
Enjoy the beautiful day. Is it sunny over there, by the way?
It is 90 degrees and sunny. Perfect.
Nice.
Thank you. Enjoy your night.
All right. Thank you. Mwah.
See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. So Sugar Plum, did you like today's video? If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and if you're so sensually inclined, please subscribe. Share this video with your friends, and don't forget to let me know what other sensual topics you would like me to discuss.